What's up, everybody? This is Dr. Nick with Leverage Media, and today I want to talk to you about why it's so important to bet on yourself. So I had a call today, and it kind of triggered like a thought with me. And I was on a call with a friend of mine, and he has a corporate chiropractic practice. He has like several corporate locations that he goes to. And then he's wanting to make like a home base, and he's in a little bit of a catch-22 because his like the time that it takes to go to all of these practices, these corporate locations, doesn't allow him to grow his location as much as he would like, as much as I think he should be. And we were talking about how he's got somebody who's going to help him, who's going to start helping him a little bit at a time, and blah blah blah, all the details. But the thing that I told him, and that I think is really important to the level of whatever level of success I've had, and that I think a lot of chiropractors could benefit from, because I think this is something that just like maybe I like innately had, but I think it's a really valuable trait that I was lucky enough to have, is that I'm a gambler. Like I don't know if I've told this story before, but between graduating from chiropractic school to so I graduated in March, and I got my first associateship, or my only associateship, in August. And in that summer, I went to Vegas because I wanted to become a professional poker player. Like, I wasn't going to be a chiropractor. I was going to go play poker for a living. So as somebody who is a gambler, I am so willing to go all in on myself. Like, I'm on my ideas, on the amount of work I'm willing to do. Like, I'm willing to bet on me. What that means, what that's meant for me a few times in my career, is that I'm willing to take out loans for ideas that maybe I didn't have the money for right away. But I knew that if I put the money into it, and if I could make the move right now, that it would work out in the long run. Take, for example, my first practice. The guy who I worked for offered to sell me the practice for like a cheap price, right? So he offered to sell it to me for $50,000. I negotiated him for some reason down to $47,000. But with that $47,000, I went and got a loan for $60,000 because I wanted to buy a couple of pieces of equipment with it, because I thought I could improve upon what he had. So I went to the bank. I got a loan for the $60,000, but it was going to be an SBA loan. And so the problem was, first of all, I knew nothing about like running a practice. It just seemed like it was pretty easy at that point. It'd been 2 months. I'd kind of figured it out at that point. It was a very simple practice. It was a satellite practice. So I was willing to bet on me, and I was willing to like figure it out. So what I told my friend was, instead of like incrementally trying to grow and trying to figure it out and like do a little bit less over here and a little bit more over here, I'm like, take out a loan. Interest rates are going to be nothing very shortly, but take out a loan, or even better, a credit line, and use that credit line to pay for the help. Because if you can get somebody full-time that could take care of those 8 locations, I think that's the number, 8 locations, and you could be over here at your home base just like working it, just like making sure that it's growing. Number one, the guy who's only focused on the corporate locations will probably grow those to a bigger number than you are being distracted. And you being able to focus will be able to grow your home base location. And so eventually his extra money that he's creating will pay for his salary. And then everything that you're growing here is just going to be nothing but gravy. So the reason I was thinking so much about that, the stock market has been going crazy these last couple of weeks. And, I don't have any money in the stock market. And it's mainly because I feel like I'm always just kind of like over investing in some of the businesses that I'm in, whether it was my practice at first, now with Leverage, now I've got a couple other projects going on. But I always want to make sure that I have the money available to be able to buy the thing that I need to move. I buy very few things for me, like personally. Like I don't spend a lot of money on personal stuff outside of travel, but I spend a lot of money on information, on learning, on coaching or consulting, or access to people that I want access to. but I want that money to be able to work for me in my practice. You know, when I was able to buy that, if I would have thought about that when I bought my first practice, if I'd have thought about it like in an incremental way instead of like fast action, you know, move on it, I would have lost out on so much money because I bought the accounts receivables with it. And so every day that I would have waited, I'm sorry, I kind of got off track there when I told that story earlier. With the SBA loan, I actually would have had to have waited 3 months to get my money, or 2.5 months to get my money, to be able to pay him. In that 2.5 months, because my dad was kind enough he took out a second mortgage on his home to get me the money that next day. So I was able to get that money that next day. I paid him, and I was able to collect probably about $25,000 in those accounts receivables in those 2.5 months, because I was able to get that money faster. And I believed in myself. Like, I told my dad it wasn't a risk because it was going to work out. It was going to be fine. And it was, right? So I just think that people put stuff into real estate or into stock market. I'm not saying you shouldn't like save for the future, but as entrepreneurs, as people who own our businesses, there's so much upside in being right. You know, in believing in yourself and having an idea and executing it. There's no way that you could ever get that kind of return back with the stock market. And if you did, it would be over like 10, 15, 20 years. But I mean, you can double your money. You can 10x your money with like the right idea, the right execution, the right marketing, the right team, like whatever it is. Just be willing to believe in yourself. I'm always a big fan of hitting that fast forward button, finding people that can move me from point A to point B quicker than I could do, figuring it out myself. So wherever you're stuck in your life, in your career, think about like, who is it that could get me unstuck? What idea do I have that's just been taking up space in my mind? How can I execute on that? How can I invest in something that I want to do? You know, interest rates are going to be at 0 here pretty shortly. And so you'll be able to borrow money at like 2-3% interest rates to be able to invest in yourself and be able to invest in your business. And, you know, there's nothing out there not nothing, but there should be no ideas that you think are amazing ideas that you couldn't get at least a 3 or 4% return on over the course of a year. So always be willing to invest in yourself. You know, the ideas that really turn out to be big winners, they tend to hockey stick. They tend to start out hot versus just like incrementally, step by step by step by step. Those usually just tend to keep growing slowly and slowly and slowly. And a lot of times you just get tired of the lack of growth and you end up not following through with the way you should. So think about that one idea that you know would be killer if you could just pull the trigger on it. Think about that thing that you're stuck on in your practice or in your life. Make a decision and go for it. Bet on yourself. I believe in you. Let me know if you had an idea, if you had something that you've been thinking about that you took action on from this video, and we'll see you on the next one.